सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। Let us read the verses from the beginning. श्रीभगवानुवाच श्रीभगवानुवाच ऊर्ध्वमूलमधः शाखम् अश्वत्थं प्राहुरव्ययम् छन्दांसि यस्य पर्णानि यस्तं वेद स वेदवित् अधश्चोर्ध्वं प्रसृतास्तस्य शाखाः गुणप्रवृद्धा विषयप्रवालाः अधश्च मूलान्यनुसन्ततानि कर्मानुबन्धीनि मनुष्यलोके न रूपमस्येह तथोपलभ्यते नान्तो न चादिर्न च सम्प्रतिष्ठा अश्वत्थमेनं सुविरूढमूलम् असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन छित्त्वा ततः पदं तत्परिमार्गितव्यम् यस्मिन् गता न निवर्तन्ति भूयः तमेव चाद्यं पुरुषं प्रपद्ये यतः प्रवृत्तिः प्रसृता पुराणी। ततः पदं तत्परिमार्गितव्यं यस्मिन् गताः न निवर्तन्ति भूयः। ततः thereafter, as was said earlier in the earlier verse, asanga shastrena dridhena chitva. So, felling this people tree with the roots that are well developed. So, felling this tree of samsara with a strong and sharpened sword of detachment. Shankaracharya explains here that dridhena Paramatma abhimukha nischaya dridhikritena. So this weapon is hardened by being directed towards the Paramatma. So there are two aspects of a weapon. Number one, the sword must be hard as well as the sword must be sharp. It must be first of all hardened and then it must be sharpened. So the mind that is directed towards Paramatma, the reason why there is necessity of discovering dispassion. Dispassion means objectivity, let us say. So when we hear the word vairagya and dispassion, then it looks like something very difficult, but really vairagya or dispassion means objectivity. That is called objectivity when the mind is free from passion, that's all. A good example of objectivity is like a scientist is toward a specimen, like a doctor is toward a patient. That's objectivity. But there is no involvement. A doctor also may not be objective when the patient happens to be relative or something. But suppose one is not related in any way, then one is objective. As Swami was saying or this morning also, there is some bereavement and you go, how philosophical I become. I can advise when somebody is, mourning the death of some near and dear one, then I can go and be a great philosopher as to how it is like the train journey and how we meet and how we separate, all of this is called objective, which means that I'm able to appreciate that event without being involved, Not that I am unconcerned, not that I am, that I am indifferent. No, I am unattached. So, unattachment or detachment does not mean lack of concern, does not mean lack of care. Even when they say that we may discover a sort of a detachment even towards our own family, does not mean that we become indifferent to them. Does not mean that we become unconcerned about them. How we can care? So how we can care, how we can show concern, how we can do whatever is required with detachment without any kind of involvement, without making any demands from that. So what is called attachment is that my mind make demands upon the world, that's all. When I want the world to be a given thing, I want generally the world to be agreeable to me. So whenever things are agreeable to me, then I am happy. When things are not agreeable to me, I am unhappy. Thus I am actually superimposing the idea of agreeability, disagreeability. Anukulyam, pratikulyam. Anukulyam, agreeability. Pratikulyam, non-agreeability. So that everything is fine as it is. This vision is called vairagya. Even to say that everything is in order. And therefore I do not make a demand that the world or the objects be different from what they are. When I am comfortable with the way things are. Put it this way. When I am comfortable with the way things are without demanding them to be different. Attachment is also a demand, aversion also is a demand. In attachment also there is a demand. The thing should remain agreeable to me. I want it to be agreeable to me. Aversion means I want it to be away from me. When there is an attachment, I want the thing not to leave me. When there is an aversion, I do not want that thing to come to me. So now, world has its own way of moving. World has its own flow. And if I can appreciate the flow and accept it as it is, fine, but I want the flow to be different. Please don't go. When I am attached to something, I say, please don't go. Now it wants to go. When I have an aversion for something, don't come, it wants to come. So then I must prevent something from coming to me, I must prevent something from going away from me. There's a lot of struggle is there in trying to make things, behave in a way different from what is natural for them. When something comes, it has a nature to go away. When something is away, it has a nature to come. And I want the things to change their nature in order to become agreeable to me. Understand what's happening. How the attachment and aversions involve a lot of struggle on my part. And that's what keeps my mind away from myself. So when my mind becomes objective, that I am comfortable with the way things are, as Swami says, that best way to gain freedom is to give the world the freedom. So giving the freedom, I become free. Not giving freedom, I become bound. When I make demands upon things that they should be like this and they should not be like that. Aversion means a demand, it should not be like this. Attachment is a demand, should be like this, whatever. So when I make these demands, I do not give them freedom, and then I am also not free. So vairagya, dispassion, means discovering a freedom. Not indifference, but comfort. I can go to the extent of saying love, in fact. Love really becomes mature when it is free from these attachments and aversion. So here is a person who loves the world. So he will do whatever is required, whatever he can do, without making any demands, ideally. So if ideally you are a dispassionate person, then you are able to love and give without making a demand. So dispassion is becoming a non-demanding person. Let us put it this way. To the extent that I can, I become a non-demanding person, which means I become an accepting person. An accepting person is the one who doesn't demand that the other thing or the person should change. That's all vairagya means. What it does is, it makes me comfortable with the world and comfortable with myself. And then alone my mind can abide in myself. Otherwise, if I am not comfortable, my mind will keep on running there to try to make it comfortable. You see, when I am not comfortable with something, the mind has a tendency to always think about it and what to do so it becomes comfortable. And therefore dispassion means discovering comfort with the way things are. Then my mind will not be worried about them. will not be concerned about them, will not be anxious about them, then I have a freedom to call my mind and focus its attention where I want. So Paramatma Abhimukhi in order that my mind can be directed towards Paramatma or the self or the Atma, it is necessary that it should become free from its preoccupation with this world, and that is called Vairagya. So this Vairagya comes by knowing the world properly. That is why Lord Krishna presented the samsara in the form of a tree, so that we understand the samsara for what it is. I have an unnecessary fascination, that's why I am attracted to things when they are not able to deliver what I demand, what I expect from them, and then there is a lot of disappointment in life. Therefore, first understand aparavidya. Dve vidye veditavye parachaiva aparacha. First Lord Krishna talked about aparavidya, the inferior knowledge, the knowledge pertaining to the world, so that the mind can discover vairagya or dispassion. A freedom from false attachment, freedom from shobhana adhyasa, or freedom from looking upon, having a fascination for the things, looking upon them for things that, for what it does not have. Tataha, thereafter, now I am ready for sannyasa. So when vairagya is there, one is ready for sannyasa. Because I don't need to do anything now. As far as I don't need to do anything as far as my worldly activities are concerned, because I have nothing to achieve and nothing to accomplish. So this is the point where a person is ready for what we call karma sannyasa or renunciation of action. Then alone it is possible to go to the teacher. At least in those days. In those days, teachers were in such remote locations that in order to go and live for 12 years, imagine, you have to sort of close the shop here, wind up things here, then alone you can go there. So going to the teacher always amounted to sannyasa. It doesn't have to be now like that, but then that is how it was. That going to the teacher means sannyasa. That means giving up all the connections with all your responsibilities and claims. Sannyasa means I give up my responsibility as well as I give up my claims. If I have claim, then also I am connected. If I have responsibility, then also I am connected. I will be worried there and I will be guilty. And if I have claim, then also I am connected. What will happen to the property and things like that? So both are given up. That's called sannyasa. That means the mind is free. Free to devote itself to what it has to do, namely pursuit of knowledge. Tatah padam tat parimargitavyam. Then that pada, that abode, that state or that truth must be investigated into, must be inquired into. Yasmin gataha nanivartanti bhuyaha. Reaching where one does not return. Yasmin gataha. There is no going involved here. In fact, what is involved is knowing. And very often, therefore, the verbs of movement or verbs of motion are interpreted to mean knowledge. Gataha, having gone where? Meaning having known which? Nanivartanti bhuyaha. Then they do not return. They do not return to this life of struggle, life of conflict. They return to the life all right. It is not that these wise people do not return to the life, but not that life of struggle and conflict. Because all the struggle and conflict is from ignorance. To act is fine and to interact with the world, everything is fine. But when any interaction causes any stresses in me, causes anxieties and worries and reactions and hurts and guilt, that part is called samsara. And that is what we call the subjective projection. And one becomes totally free from that by the knowledge. By knowledge of the things as they are. By knowing that whatever is fine. Call it whatever is Brahman, whatever is God, whatever is his order. Whatever in that order is nothing but my own self. Thus this knowledge makes me totally, formerly I was relatively comfortable. See, vairagya, dispassion is not perfect. Until the knowledge takes place, the dispassion cannot be complete, but I am relatively comfortable by what we call viveka or discriminative understanding. But then by ultimate viveka of the Atma, Anatma viveka, the viveka discrimination between self and non-self. Oh, when I understand everything, nothing but the self, then my vairagya becomes absolute. I am totally comfortable. A totally non-demanding person. And that is the person who is most fit to serve, really. Who can serve somebody? One who doesn't make any demands. Otherwise, today I serve all right, but inside there is always some kind of a demand. That I wish I am doing this, I may not expressly say that, but I wish that some kind of a favor is returned to me. The rajas is there, rajas. Yattu pratyupakarartham phalamuddishyate va phalamuddishya va punah diyate cha pariklistam. So, either I give because there is some pratyupakara, there is some expectation of a return of favor, or I give because God, make note of that I am giving this so that I get my place in the heavens, or whatever it is that I want. Or diyate cha pariklistam, or I give but with a sense of loss that I had to give. So usually my giving is like this. But then the giving becomes true giving. Datavyam iti yaddanam. I should give. It is my pleasure to give. Diyate cha anupakarane. Without any upakara, without a return of favor I give, because giving itself is a reward, and therefore there is no further reward required. Deshe kale cha patra. I become a sensitive person. At the right time, in the right place, to the right person, what is right is given. So wise man does work and interact with the world in this way. And so they not returning is not also not a, that they do not return is also not an action. There is also knowledge. They do not return to the life of conflict and struggle which is arising from duality. When I look upon something that's different from me, there is going to be a struggle. There is going to be some stress. He realizes that everything is nothing but the manifestation of his own self, and therefore there is total freedom from every struggle. That is called nanivartante, they do not return. Tameva chadyam purusham prapadye yatah pravrittif prasuta purane. And to gain that knowledge, Lord Krishna says, what is the means? The surrender, the bhakti, the devotion of the means. Adyam purusham. Adyam is this primeval person. We said the very source. Brahman is the very source of everything. And therefore, I surrender myself to Brahman, to God, who is the source of everything. That means rather than focus, so far I was preoccupied with the tree, and now I take refuge under the root of the tree. So far the tree was real for me. The world is real. I realize that no, world is because of something else. And that is God, that is Brahman, that is Adhishthanam. And that is where I take the refuge. So shifting the refuge from world to the cause of the world, that's all. I need refuge anyway. So today also I take refuge into money and refuge of a lot of things I take. So my bank balance is my great refuge so that when I retire and so I will be fine. Then my family and children are there so that when I grow old, I will be taken care of. So refuge. Who will take care of me? Here I take refuge into Lord. He takes care of me. He is my goal. As Lord Krishna said earlier, Devan devayajoyanti mad bhaktahayanti mamapi. Those who worship the gods, they become the gods. Those who worship me, become me. And so whatever it is that I worship is what I am taken refuge of. What is it that is my goal? As I say, whatever it is that I look upon as my goal at any time, I am surrendered to that. When God becomes my goal, I am surrendered to that. So surrendering God ultimately means that becoming my goal. That's all I want. I don't want anything else. I do not approach God for something. I approach God for the sake of God Himself. Tesham satadayuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam. Lord Krishna says, when I see my devotees, that they are worshipping me for the love of me. Otherwise I go to God and ask something, please give me this. That means I love that thing, and God just becomes incidental. There's nothing wrong in that. But we are talking about a mature devotee here. There are devotees of different class. There are devotees who approach the Lord because they are in great dire difficulty, distress, and they want to be released from the distress. It's fine. Or devotees approach God because they want some favor. That also is fine. But then when I go to God for seeking some favor, that I want wealth, I want something like that, means that wealth is more important to me than God. God doesn't mind that. You see, when somebody comes to me and I feel that something else is more important to that person than me, then I become turned off. I get turned off. When somebody comes to me, I must be the most important. To Lord it doesn't matter. It's okay. You think that is more important than me? Doesn't matter. I'll give you that. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sasya bhajanamyam. In whichever way they approach me, whatever prayers they make to me, I fulfill those prayers. How large-hearted he must be, imagine, What large-heartedness there must be. It doesn't mind. Always smiling. But it is up to us to have that intelligence to know what to ask of him. And Lord says that if you ask of me, I'll give you myself. So that is called Tameva Chadyam Purusham Prapadye. That Purusham, that Purnam, the being who is whole, complete, that fills up everything, that pervades everything. Prapadye, I take refuge into him. Yatah pravritteh prasuta purani. Who is the source of all this pravritti? Who is the source of all this activity? Who is the source of the whole creation? Who is the cause of the creation? So surrender. Lord Krishna talks about it. Bhakti, devotion, which involves surrender to the Lord, which of course calls for Shraddha or faith. All of these Lord Krishna talks about. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. So when one is Shraddha, then one gains knowledge. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Give up all other pursuits and take refuge unto me. It's not some guy, he's not talking as a person. He's talking as the very Lord, the infinite, the limitless. So, hey Arjuna, in fact, you have the potential of achieving limitless in your life. Why should you settle for anything limited? So that's where the desire comes. When my mind keeps on making desires, that means that I am desiring small things. I ask my mind, why do you desire small things? Why do you want these little things? Why do you want God? Why don't you desire for God? If you desire him badly, you will get him. Swamiji doesn't come because I don't desire him badly. As Swamiji says, he wants moksha as well as helicopter. Helicopter stands for all material achievements. So that I want to keep intact. Swamiji, my life must be like this, it must have this comfort, it must have this. And then also, on the side, I do other things too, which is also okay, nothing wrong in it. But ultimately, as we say, the mature devotion is where, to this devotee, all that is important is God and nothing else. That is also only discriminate, that only makes sense. That also comes as a understanding what it is that I am seeking. Who can gain this knowledge? In the 5th verse, Lord Krishna talks about the adhikaritvam again. Katham bhutaha tatpadam gacchandi. Who are the people who can reach that abode? So 5th verse tells us that. Nirmana moha jita sanga doshaha. Nirmana moha jita sanga doshaha. Adhyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha. Adhyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha. Dvandvair vimukta sukha dukkha sanyaihi. Dvandvair vimukta sukha dukkha sanyaihi. Gacchantya mudhah padamavyayantata. Gacchantya mudhah padamavyayantata. The last words, Gacchanti amudhaha padam avyayam tada. Amudhaha tad avyayam padam gacchanti. Amudhaha. Those who are free from moha. Mudha. Mudha means one who is under the spell of moha or delusion. Amudha. One who has become free from delusion. Yesterday we talked about this ignorance bringing about adhyasa or superimposition. We said that ignorance has these two aspects. Avaranam, that it hides or veils the true nature of the thing, And vikshepa, it creates a projection. Like in the rope snake example, that there is avaranam, there is ignorance of rope, and vikshepa, projection of the snake. So that is called moha. Projection is called moha. Taking one thing to be different from what it is. In this case, what is moha? Taking this body-mind complex as a self, that's a moha. So when I do not know the true nature of myself, then I take what I am not to be myself. And I take this body-mind complex to be myself. That's called moha. When I do not know the reality of myself, I take this body-mind complex as myself. When I do not know the reality of the world, I do not know the world is mithya, therefore I take the world as satyam. That is also called moha. The superimposing anatma, atma upon anatma, vice versa, that is moha, and giving world a reality which it doesn't have, that is also called moha. So amudha, the people, wise people, become free from both this moha, become free from both these projections, become free from projection about oneself. So no more I look upon myself as a body or the mind or intellect, no more I look upon myself as a limited individual, I discover myself to be God, Brahman. That padam means Brahman, to discover Brahma, or the limitless as my own self. To see the world also is nothing but the manifestation of same limitless, that is also called knowledge. So knowledge has both these aspects. Not only do I know the self as Brahman, but I know myself as the self of all. I know everything as Brahman. If some people ask this question, Swamiji, but you say that I am Brahman. Suppose I get that knowledge, will I not become proud? Will this knowledge not create ego? So very often this question is asked. It will not create ego if it is true knowledge. Because when I know myself as Brahman, I know everything as Brahman. See, ego or pride can be created when I think I am superior, I am Brahman, everything else is nothing, then it's okay. But certainly I do not know what Brahman is. When I know myself as Brahman, I know everything is Brahman. Then there is no superiority, no inferiority. Sayaschayam purushe, yascha savaditye sa ekaha. Taittiriya Upanishad says, that which is the truth of this individual and that which is the truth of the turtle is one alone. It's one Brahman. That alone, with this upadhi, takes a role of a jiva. So, it only manifests as jiva with reference to a given upadhi, manifests as Ishvara with reference to the total upadhi. So, this knowledge dispels ignorance and dispels all the projections, misconceptions, complexes born of ignorance. That's called amudha. These people are amudha. Those are free from moha, free from delusion born of ignorance, free from all complexes, free from all projections. Tat avyayam padam gacchandi. So these are the people, the wise people are those who reach that avyayam padam, the padam or the state, undecaying state, imperishable state, changeless, limitless. So they achieve that limitless. That means they know the limitless as a self. There is no achievement again, but still, gachanti. So again and again these verbs of motion are used here. Tat padam gachanti. They reach that state. Again translate the motion of verb as the verb of motion as verb of knowledge. So, not that they reach that state, they know that state. And that knowledge calls for a certain amount of preparation, preparedness. It's called adhikaritvam. Adhikari is the one who has the adhikara. Adhikara means fitness. Adhikari, one who is fit. Adhikaritvam, the state of being fit. Adhikara, fitness. Adhikari, one who is fit. Adhikaritvam, the state of one being fit. So I must gain that adhikaritvam, I must gain the state of being a fit person, prepared person. So every time, this is always to be mentioned. Scriptures always make it a point to mention the preparation or preparedness or fitness. They call it sometimes sadhana, chatushtaya, sampatti, the inner wealth. or what we call emotional maturity. So in one way or the other, this preparation must be mentioned, because otherwise the scriptures will lose their authority or their pramanyam. The words of the scriptures can become pramana, means of knowledge, only when the mind is prepared, not otherwise. And so what Lord Krishna is going to teach in the subsequent verses also will become meaningful to me when my mind is prepared. And therefore, Lord Krishna makes it a point to tell us what kind of preparation is needed. Nirmana moha, free from mana and moha. Free from mana, mana means pride. Moha means projection. Pride. I have a pride. Whatever. Pride that I am a learned person. Pride that I am a wealthy person. Pride because of my achievements. So manam. Mana means to measure. The word mana is made of the derived from the root ma in the sense of measuring. When I measure myself, that is called manam. Mana means measure. Atma is immeasurable, really. Self is immeasurable, is it not? Beyond all measure. Self is beyond all measure, beyond all limits. But when I measure myself, when do I measure myself? Whenever I identify myself with this body-mind complex, then I become of the same dimension as this body. How big I am or how far I am, as far as this upadhi is. That means Atma has been reduced now to the dimension of this upadhi, body-mind complex. That's called measuring, and that crosses all the pride. In fact, only a small little individual can be proud. A great one can never be proud. A small one can be proud. Because there is pride also is a need on my part to feel that I am all right. I feel proud in order to feel that I am okay, I am better than that fellow. I am something. Because there is a need on my part to feel that I am something. Because then alone I can become acceptable to myself. Otherwise I cannot become acceptable to myself. You know the sense of smallness, what it does to me. When ignorance causes in me a sense of limitation, a sense of smallness, what it also does is that it creates a self-non-acceptance, that I am not happy with myself. I can never be happy with myself being a small or limited being, and therefore I am not happy with myself, not satisfied with myself, and therefore there is a constant current of what we call self-non-acceptance. So there is a tremendous need on my part to feel that I am all right, because my conclusion is that I am not all right. So pride is one of those mechanisms which makes me feel that I am all right. So I compare myself with others. I feel that I am more learned than others. I feel proud. I feel that I am more powerful than others. I feel proud. I feel that I am wealthier than others. I feel proud. I feel I am more accomplished than others. I feel proud. I feel that I am born in a more noble family than somebody else. Proud. And whatever it is. So one derives pride from all of this. Just because I feel hollow inside, normally, but all of these are the crutches which are necessary for me to make me feel good about myself. So pride, nirmana moha, those people are free from pride. The pride comes when I identify myself with upadhi. And thus, when I realize that upadhi I am not. Or also, as we said, even the accomplished, how can I be prideful about certain accomplishment when I look upon myself as the author? When I look at the realities of life, I feel proud that I am a wealthy person, a successful person. That is because I look upon myself as author of that success. But when I look at the realities of life, then I realize that success comes because of the favor that I get from so many factors. But Swami, it is my intelligence. I did this. I thought of this. It's my idea. But even that capacity, the intelligence also is given to me. So skills are also given to me, the capacities are given to me, the intelligence is given to me, everything is given to me. So when I recognize the realities of life, there cannot be pride, there can only what we call humility. So thus people were humble. Humility comes when I recognize the realities of life. And from this mahankara comes mamakara. This is mine, this is mine, this is mine. That's called moha here. So those people are free from pride as well as a sense of ownership. That this is mine, this is mine. Nothing belongs to me. I happen to be the possessor of that. It happens to be with me right now, which is fine, I can enjoy it, but then I am not the owner of anything. So, nirmoha means the one who is free from the sense of ownership. Nirmana moha jita sanga doshaha. Who have conquered the evil of association. Look at that. Evil of association. Sangha means association. Dosha means evil. Jita means conquered. Jita sanga doshaha, those who have conquered the evil of association. How do you conquer evil of association? By not associating anything. That's the reason why people go away from all association. Swami, when I am at home, then this disturbances happen. When I am at work, then this disturbances happen. When I am in the marketplace, this. When I go to store, then this kind of attractions happen. And so I find that when I am in the midst of things and beings, then I am impacted by them. And therefore, they either create in me a sense of superiority, inferiority, something or other is created in me. Or they create in me a sense of, that I want to enjoy them. They create in me what we call bhoga buddhi. So generally when I am in the midst of the things, then they manage to impact me by creating some kind of reaction in me that I want them or I want to get rid of them. So that is called the dosha of the association. Or I come under influence of this association. They say, as the sangha or as the association, so the ranga means color of the mind. Our mind gets colored by the association. Jita sanga doshaha, those people who will maintain a poise of the mind, a control of the mind, in spite of being associated with different things. In short, when I am in association with something that is desirable, then there is a desire, there is a like. When I am associated with something undesirable, there is an aversion. So jita sanga doshaha, free from the impact of the things around me, I can maintain a poise or balance of my mind in association with the things that may be agreeable or disagreeable. As Swami was saying the other day, like while traveling the aeroplane, and here is somebody, passenger sitting beside you, and well, he orders his own food. So he has perhaps chicken or fish or whatever it is that he's eating. And generally some smell also is associated with that food. Naturally, with every food some smell is associated. Somebody calls it fragrance, somebody calls it stink, whatever it is. And I'm sitting right beside that. And I remember that many years ago, I would feel nauseated, when somebody eats, not only that kind of food, when somebody eats in a manner which is also not right, because people eat differently in India. Different people have different ways of eating also. So when you go to North India, they eat food in one way. When you go to South India, they eat the food in another way. So when in South India they eat rice, for example, they have their own way of enjoying rice. They take the rice and then make sure that the buttermilk is properly, And then they like to eat with their palm. We were always brought up to eat only with fingers. Such an extent that beyond this second line, the finger also should not be soiled. If you mess up your hand, then you will be scolded. That is one way of eating. On the other hand, the other way of eating is that you use your whole palm or whole hand and eat that rice and because they are very simple people. In South India, all they have is a leaf. In India, earlier, so in Gujarat also, when they eat any soup and things like dal, so there is no spoons. You have a leaf plate and leaf bowl, so how do you eat? Either they will take it and drink it directly, or they will make a little spoon out of their own finger, and then that's how they will take it. So people are different. Or in South India they will take that's what they do. Different ways of doing things. Not only that, but sometimes it will also flow down. And then so Swami just look, see, when we were sitting on the table once, our Swamiji was there, I was there, somebody else was there, and he was eating. See, he's eating traditionally, Swami tells me, That is true. It is fine. There are different ways. But then sometimes you have difficulty with that, If somebody has the hair green, then you feel uncomfortable. I don't know why you should feel somehow. Similarly, when somebody eats in a certain way, eats certain kind of things, and eat in a certain, the food must be treated in a certain way. Sometimes people don't do that. They just leave it, a lot of food is left over, and there are different things people do with the food. And sometimes you feel something inside. The idea is that when you are in association with something that does not meet with your standards or your expectations, then something happens to you. On the other hand, when somebody eats something which is very attractive, then also something happens to you. Then my mouth starts watering. So association creates in me either some kind of a sense of aversion or creates in me some kind of an attraction. Now, idea is that whenever my mind is subject to being impacted like this, then I cannot enjoy. Idea is that I should enjoy a mind that is free. I should have the freedom to be able to apply my mind to the contemplation of oneself whenever I want. And I don't have the freedom if my mind is impacted by all these different things. Jita sanga dosha, those who have become free from the dosha or the defect or the evil of association. Regardless whether association is agreeable or disagreeable, those who can maintain a poise of their mind. Adhyatma nityaha, who are ever devoted to spirituality. Adhyatma nityaha. Adhyatma, atmanam adhikritya vartate. Adhyatma means pertaining to the self. So adhyatma nityaha, those who are devoted to nityaha. Nitya means all the time. Those who are all the time devoted to the pursuit of self-knowledge. This is what it means. Or adhyatma, spirituality. That is those who are devoted to a spiritual life. Or those who are devoted to the pursuit of knowledge. Depends on where they are. If you are talking about a householder, then we should say that the one who is devoted to a life of spiritual growth. And so the day-to-day activities that you perform, which are required to perform because they are the duty, or that is what is expected out of me, all right, fine. I perform those day-to-day activities also in the spirit of worship. That means my life becomes yoga. On the other hand, when somebody has taken up to the life of pursuit of knowledge, adhyatma nityaha, one who is all the time devoted to pursuit of knowledge, shravanam, manam, nididhyasanam, and all the time seeking to cultivate these qualifications. So the only priority is knowledge, is self-growth, is self-perfection. Adhyatma nitya. In that reference I was saying yesterday, Swami, we have a study group. I said, yeah, how many times do you meet? So once in a month? Or twice a month? 4 times a month. It's all fine. Adhyatma nitya. What Lord Krishna ultimately prescribes is adhyatma nitya, doing it all the time. Of course, that is not possible in the working life. But the idea is that at least not only our time goes in our professional activities, but a lot of time goes in other things. Swamiji, after all, in the household life, there are guests are there, and then we have to go for the wedding, and we have to go for this. And most of the time goes in those kind of activities. So, all I can say is, we can choose the activities that are absolutely necessary, and then cut whatever we can, so that more and more time is available for this. That's all we can say. Is that time is very precious. And we will do it after. In India, people think that all this will be done after retirement. Swamiji, right now it is too early. And so we will do this after retirement. Except that they think that studying Bhagavad Gītā means doing nothing. It doesn't require any kind of sharpness, or doesn't require any kind of healthy attitude or healthy, even health of the body. They think anybody can do that. Who has nothing else to do, that alone does this. And so that's not so. So that's the priority in our life, that this is something most important in my life. The other things I do, normally this is done When nothing else is to be done, then this kind of thing gets its place. Or this poor thing has an opportunity or a chance in my life when I have nothing else to do. So weekend classes here, which are twice a month, that's all. Twice a month. There also, Swami, is so difficult to come every time, Twice a month is what? 1 month has 106, how many hours? 1 week actually has 168 hours. 1 month has like 700 hours or something like that. Of that, twice a month. But it is so difficult because there are so many things to be done. Which is all right. I am not grudging. That I am pointing out is when Lord Krishna Adhyatma Nitya, that means that this has the most priority. So what is it? I look upon my life as what? As a process of growth. That's all. That at least my life should become a process of self-growth. That whatever I do should become a means of leading me to my objective. That I should not squander away anything else, in that activity. If I have to do that activity, that also is done as a means of this only. So how I can convert every activity as a yoga? Every activity is a means of worship. Every activity is an offering. How in every activity I can remember, I can associate that with Lord. Anyway, Adhyatma Nityaha, Vinivritta Kamaha, those are completely free from desire. Freedom from desire comes only when I understand the desire behind all the desires. It is not that the freedom from desire comes. It said the desires get converted. Vedanta does not ask us to give up the desires. Vedanta asks us to understand the desires. Understand what is the desire behind the desire. So when I analyze any desire, I will realize that every desire is a desire to become for freedom of some kind. Whenever my mind wants something, it's always because it wants some freedom. Even when I want a motor car, I want freedom, so that I am free to go where I want to go, whenever I want to go. I want a home, then also I want freedom, because I need some privacy. When I want wealth, I need freedom, because I want some security. So when I feel insecure, when I feel that I don't have enough privacy, when I feel that I don't have enough freedom, then I am seeking freedom. So understand that every desire behind every desire is for freedom. And when I understand that I am seeking freedom, not just ordinary freedom, but I am seeking unconditional freedom. So really every desire is nothing but a manifestation of the fundamental desire of seeking unconditional freedom, which is called moksha. Thus to understand every desire, that behind every desire there is desire for moksha. Let's understand that much. Then do whatever you want to do with the desire. At least take that much time to ask this question. My mind says, hey, I want this thing. All right. For what? So that I will have this comfort. For what? So that I will have this freedom. So it is for freedom. Then, can that thing give me freedom? Then I remind my mind, understand, the freedom that you are seeking can only come from your knowledge of yourself and nothing else. And thus, slowly, transforming the desires into desire for moksha. Mind never becomes free from desire. When they say make the mind free from desire, it means make the mind free from desire of the worldly things, so that the desire gets transformed into desire for the self, desire for moksha, and moksha is desire for self-knowledge. So every desire, or even when I fulfill the desire, I fulfill it because fulfillment of desire will in some way or other contribute to my pursuit of moksha. That also is fine. But let us say that I never lose track of this, never lose track of what it is that I am seeking. Just as when I leave home to go to a certain destination when I am driving, I never lose track of the destination. I may be listening to my stereo in the car, I may be talking on the telephone, I may be talking with the people, all kinds of things I may be doing. But one corner of my mind is always alert, awareful of the destination. I make the right turns. The fact that I take the right road, I take the right exits and right entries and everything right I do and reach my destination means that one part of my mind was all the time aware of the destination. Similarly also a part of my mind always remains aware of my ultimate destination in life, so that every turn that I make becomes a means of reaching the destination. Otherwise I may just go anywhere. I never reach destination. Similarly also, whatever choice I make in my life is always done with reference to that goal, and accordingly every choice can become a means of reaching me, taking me to the ultimate goal. That is vinivritta kama. Dvandvaihi vimuktaha sukha dukkha sanyaihi. Free from dvandva, the dualities of happiness and sorrow, pleasure and pain, honor and dishonor, happiness and sorrow. So, dvandvaihi vimuktaha. Those are free from impact of this dvandva, impact of these pairs of opposites. And this we have discussed a number of times. How the universe, world consists of dvandva, pairs of opposites. Now there is honor, then there is dishonor. Now there is comfort, then discomfort. Now there is pleasure, then there is pain. So this is how things keep on alternating. And usually my response is one of elation and depression. When things are agreeable to me, elated. Disagreeable, depressed. So dvandvaihi vimuktaha, the one who is free from the reactions of harsha and shoka, of elation and depression. And when this happens, when I am able to see everything as prasada, as nothing but the prasada, a gift of God. The honor, thank you Lord. Dishonor, can I say thank you? If I can say, then that is called prasada buddhi. Not just say, not just giving lip service, but when I feel that, oh, that also is fine. That also is an order. That also has something to... So, if I know this, that honor comes to me just to encourage me, and dishonor comes to me to make me grow, that's all. Happiness comes to encourage me so that I don't get frustrated. Unhappiness comes to help me to learn and grow. And if this is my attitude, then everything is fine. Everything is gift of Lord. Then I do not react. So dvandvaihi vimuktaha, enjoying a non-reacting mind. So these people, when they are exposed to the teaching, when they are taught by the teacher tattvamasi, it just goes home. Gachanti amuraha padam avyayam tata. These people who are those prepared in this manner become amuraha. They gain the knowledge, become free from ignorance, become free from the projections or delusions born of ignorance, and ultimately they reach that padam, they reach that limitless, reach their own self, or know their own self as a limitless. What's the nature of that self that they reach? That padam, padam is an abode that they reach. What is the nature of that? Lord Krishna explains that in the 6th verse. न तद्भासयते सूर्यः न तद्भासयते सूर्यः न शशाङ्को न पावकः न शशाङ्को न पावकः यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम तद्धाम परमं मम. The last verse, तद्धाम परमं मम. Tat mama paramam dhama. Tat means that. Mama mine. Paramam, supreme or ultimate. Dhama. The word dhama is translated as abode. The word dhama has other meaning also. Dhama also means light. So Lord Krishna uses the word dhama. The word is dhaman, of which that is the nominative singular is dhama. That means abode also, at the same time it also means light. Which means that Lord Krishna says that my abode means what? My nature. So earlier it was said that they reach me. Gacchandi amuraha padam avyayam tata yad gatva nanivartante yasmin gataha nanivartandi bhuyaha. Reaching where they do not return again. That is my abode. But what is the nature of my abode? It's not a place. My abode is of the nature of light, of the nature of awareness, of the nature of knowledge, of the nature of awareness. So Dhamma also means light. Here it means the light of awareness, which is the truth of everything. Which is the truth of myself, and that is the truth of everything, and that is everything. It is awareness or intelligence alone that is whatever that is. So whatever it is, nothing but asti, bhati, priyam. Asti means existence, bhati means awareness, priyam means happiness. So existence, awareness, happiness, whatever it is, I am a manifestation of that existence, awareness, happiness. The whole universe also is a manifestation of the same asti, bhati, priyam. Or that is Satchit Ananda. So that is called the abode. Abode means the Swarupa, means the very nature of the Lord. And that is Satchit Ananda. That Ananda, that happiness that there is. What kind of happiness? That which is Sat or undecaying happiness there is. How can it be undecaying? Only when it is uncreated. The uncreated, always obtaining. So nirnimittam, that which is unconditional, uncreated, that happiness or fullness they reach as their own self. Tadham paramam mama. No, Lord Krishna says, what's the nature of the self? How do I know that self? Lord Krishna says, Natad bhasayate surya. The sun does not illumine that. My abode which is the self, the sun cannot illumine that. Na shashanka. Shashanka means moon. You know how the word shashanka comes? You know what is shasha? Shasha means a rabbit. So moon is said to a rabbit in there, In the moon there is a little rabbit. So Anka means one who has in his lap. So one with a rabbit in his lap. That's the Shashanka. That's the moon. So anyway, moon has many names. One of them is Shashanka. Even moon also does not illumine that. Na Pavakaha. Pavaka means fire. Pavaka means the one who purifies. Fire is said to purify everything. He sometimes asks this question, Swami, how come when the Swamis come, then we should always use the metal plates and why can't they eat in this China? Why can't they eat in the conventional things? And I said they can eat in anything. But then this was the tradition. In the olden days, this tradition must have been there in the very olden days, when they were perhaps using clay pots and clay plates to eat. Either leaf plates or vessels made of clay. The thing is that whenever you offer a vessel or anything to the Swami, it must be that which must be either new or it must be that which is sanctified or purified. How do you purify things? By subjecting them to fire. But a clay vessel does not get purified by fire, and therefore, because it will break, and therefore, perhaps in the olden days, they would have a metal tumbler, a metal plate, metal things, which they would actually heat in fire, and thus that becomes pure. Then alone it can be offered. So fire is called Pavakaha, one who purifies, one who sanctifies. I think that's how the tradition has come down to us, that even today also. Because the plates are the China plates, and what are they? Still clay. What we use is still clay. And supposedly clay cannot be purified in fire. And therefore, we use this. Today perhaps it may be easier to purify than to purify the metal plates. I do not know. But anyway, the reason why the custom of always using these metal plates, etc., in case of the sannyasis comes perhaps from this kind of the tradition that there was. But anyway, Pavaka means fire. The fire also does not illumine that. These are the conventional sources or the luminaries. They illumine everything in the world. There is a very famous dialogue in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, a dialogue between King Janaka and sage Yajnavalkya. That dialogue is called Jyotir Brahmanam. Brahmanam means a particular section. Jyotir Brahmanam, where sage Yajnavalkya reveals the Jyoti, that Atma is the nature of Jyoti or self-effulgent. That Atma is self-effulgent, self-revealing. And to explain or expound that the self is self-effulgent or self-living Swayam Prakasha, this explanation takes place in the form of a dialogue when King Janaka asks sage Yajnavalkya, Kim Jyotirayam Purusha Yajnavalkya? Hey Yajnavalkya, what is that light by which this person does all his vyavahara? He does all the activities in what light? Then sage Yajnavalkya says, it is the light of sun. Adityena Jyotisha, I am aste. palyayate, karma kurute, vipalyayati. Hey king, hey samrat, or emperor, look, it is by the light of sun that this people sits in his home, that he goes out, performs different chores, that he comes back. All this vyavahara is done in the light of sun. So sun is the light. Then says, that's right, Yajnavalkya. Evam eva etad Yajnavalkya. That is true. Then he thinks, but then astamite aditya Yajnavalkya kim jyotirayam purusha. He Yajnavalkya. But when the sun sets, then what? Then what is it that illumines this person? Then says Yajnavalkya, it is Chandramaha, it is the moon. It is the light of the moon that he is in the home and he goes out, performs the chores and comes back. Yes, evam eva etad Yajnavalkya. You are right, Yajnavalkya. And further question, astamite aditya, astamite chandramasi. When the sun also sets and moon also sets, then what? Then what's the light what is it that serves as a light to this person? Agnihi is the light of the fire. You know, in the olden days they would have a torch, what they call a torch. And in that he would sit in the home also in light of fire, or go out, perform the chores, come back. That's right, Yajnavalkya. But he, Yajnavalkya, when the sun is set, the moon also is set, and the fire is put off, because fire also can't last forever. So when the fire also has gone out, then what is that serves as a light for this person? Then Sri Yajnavalkya says, the speech serves as a light of this person. Because even when there is pitch darkness, you cannot see anything. Then also, it is by the sound. Speech means sound. It is by the sound that you know. Somebody can say, hey Swamiji, come in this time, come along, go straight. It is by the sound also that I can go out, I can do things and come back. So that's right. But then, when the sun also has set, moon also has set, the fire is put off, and the sound also is not there. Referring to the state of dream. In the waking state, all these different luminaries are there. But then when this person is dreaming, at that time, this sun and the moon and the fire and even the speech also do not have an entry there. At that time, kim jyotirayam purusha, what is it that serves as a light for this person? Because in the dream also we find him doing all the various activities. So what enables him to perform the activities? What is the light that illumines him by which he performs all the activities in dream? Atma evayam jyotisha aste palyayate karma kurute vipalyayati iti. Says Yajnavalkya, hey Janaka, it is by the light of the self. So that's called Jyotir Brahman, where it is revealed that in the dream also activities take place. What is it that illumines all the activities? It is the self of the Atma. In fact, it is the Atma that illumines all the activities, even the waking also. But in as much as in the waking there are so many luminaries that it may not become very clear. Therefore, the illustration of the dream state, when we know that these conventional luminaries do not have an entry into dream. Oh, but there is a sun there also in my dream. I saw the sun, and there was a moon and there was fire. But that is not this local sun. That is sun projected by my mind, but not the real sun and the moon. Who illumines the whole dream world? It is the light of the self that illumines the whole dream world. In that sense it is said, then it is very clear that the sun in the dream is illumined by what? By the self. The moon in the dream also illumined by the self. The fire also illumined by the self. The speech also illumined by the self. Yadadityagan tejaha jagat bhasayate khilam yachandramasi yachagnav tat tejo vidhimamakam. That verse also will come subsequently. So, these two verses, Lord Krishna here gives us the sixth verse, and then Yadadityagan, the 11th verse. So, no, 12th verse, sorry, Yadadityagadam, 12th. 6th and the 12th verse. These two verses actually explain to us this mantra that we chant every day. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandratarakam nema vidyato bhanti kotoyam agnihi. Na tatra suryo bhati, that the sun does not shine. That means the sun does not illumine that. Na chandratarakam, nor the moon, nor the stars. Nema vidyato bhanti, nor these lightnings. Kutoya Agnihi, how can the fire illumine that? So that part of the mantra is what is here sort of restated in different words in the 6th verse. The second part of that mantra, Tameva Bhantam Anubhati Sarvam Tasya Bhasa Sarvamidam Vibhati. When that shines, everything shines after that, in the light of that. It is by the light of that that everything shines. So that part is explained by Lord Krishna in the 12th verse, Yadaditya Gadam Teja. And so, in short, what Lord Krishna means, and we'll continue our discussion by this verse, is that the Atma does not require the light of sun, does not require the light of moon, does not require the light of fire, does not require any light, because it is a light in itself, because of which everything shines. It is self-revealing or self-shining. Tad Dhama, that's why the word Dhama is explained here as light. That is my light here, Arjuna, which doesn't require the sun or the moon or the fire or any of the luminaries to illumine, because it is self-shining, self-revealing. We'll continue that in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvara Gururatmeri Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.